At those pores, the particles with the tinier than the pores we go through. So leaving behind the bigger what? The bigger sizes on the mesh. This sieving is widely employed in the Gary industry. Okay, you see that's why you see when you look at your Gary, you notice that it is very smooth. That's very fine, fine. Here, the fine here means smooth. Okay, that's the meaning. Okay, in chemistry, this fine here, very fine, meaning very smooth. Okay, it can also mean uniform in size. It can also mean uniform in size. That's the meaning. So the Gary is very fine. So Gary industry widely use this sieving separation technique method. So when you're separating solid particles of different sizes, okay, you are practicing sieving. And the method generally employed is the use of a mesh, which separates the solid particle with different size from the bigger size from the smaller size. The smaller size are small, so small enough that they can go through the pores of the what? They can go through the pores of the mesh. Okay, let's look at the next one. I hope with this I've exhausted explaining this for you to understand. Let's look at the next one. And the next one is quickly. The next one is uh, decantation. Number two. Number two is what? Decantation. Decantation. Okay, so what is decantation? Now, decantation is a separation technique method that involves you separating insoluble solids from their solution. So decantation is a separation technique method that involves the separation of the insoluble solids from their solution. Are you seeing it now? In this case of decantation, what does that mean? It simply means that when an insoluble solid particles is found in a solution, here you have two different layers. You have two different layers. And around there, you have the solid particles. Why? The solid particles are usually found at the lower parts of the what? The beaker or the container. Okay? So this place, why this place from here to here forms the what? The liquid layer. Okay? The liquid layer. From this point here down forms the what? The insoluble solid particle layer. The insoluble solid particle layer. In this case, when you have an insoluble solid in a mixture, if you leave the container to sit for a while, you will notice that after a while, the solid particles that are denser than the liquid itself will settle at the bottom of the beaker. They will settle at the bottom of the beaker, leaving the liquid layer at the top, thereby making it easy for you to pour out the liquid layer and leaving behind the solid layer. Can you see it now? So decantation is the separation of what? Insoluble solid from their solution. To get a modified way of sedimentation, we call decantation, another word for it is called sedimentation. So if I tell you to sediment this mixture, I'm actually telling you to carry out decantation. So another word is called what? Sedimentation. Sedimentation. So it's the same thing. When you say something sediment, it means the particles in that solution has gathered at the bottom, okay, leaving, creating a layer between the solid layer, the liquid layer, and the solid layer, because this solid part is more denser, so it sits at the bottom of the beaker. And to get a modified form of this decantation, we have what we call centrifugation. So in some cases, you will see them having the relationship between decantation, sedimentation, and centrifugation. Centrifugation. What is centrifugation? This is the kind of separation whereby both the insoluble solid that is to be separated is placed in a test tube. Okay, this is a test tube. Placed in a test tube inside a machine we call centrifuge. And this centrifuge, the very essence, is to separate the insoluble solid from that solution. But in this case, it will be in motion. This test tube will be counterbalanced with the same test tube sizes with equal volume of water in the test tube, such that it will begin to spin round. The essence of spinning round in motion is to create the quick effect of making the liquid layer come up and the solid the insoluble solid particle to be distinct, that is to be different. So when you look at centrifugation, it has to do with spinning a what? A test tube, spinning test tube. The essence is to separate insoluble solid from their solution. So why this will, you will leave this one to sit. This one, you connect it in, it's like a machine. Centrifugation is the process. Centrifuge is a machine. There's a machine we call centrifuge. It's a machine that spins test tube with equal volume of water and the same size of test tube. The essence of doing that is to what? Separate insoluble solid from their solution. So the test tube must be equal in sizes so as to cause a counterbalance. And the water in the test tube must be equal so that the volume of water will create that counterbalance for the test tube to spin and then get your result. So with this, we've been able to analyze what decantation is, link it to sedimentation, and also to centrifugation. So a centrifuge is a machine that spills test tube containing water, equal volume of water at high speed. But the very essence is to separate the insoluble solid from a solution. This thing is widely used in the lab by those people who are, when you want to do blood tests and all that. So they are widely used in the health sector very much. When they want to do blood tests, they always carry out this activity. So it's a separation technique method. In the next video, we're going to look at the other two separation technique method. I just want you to understand. Is it clear? Thank you.